We are going to talk about Oompa Loompa, little Mr. Adventure Man. He's kind of the sneaky one. He's often found as the observer, and then he decides that he's going on an adventure and decides to try and escape whatever obstacle I have set up. So his evaluation wasn't much different. He was super confident and he decided to try everything. So what I want you to understand, first and foremost, I say this for every single puppy, is that the low, medium, and high is a spectrum. It is not low is bad and high is good. That's not how it works. So the first thing you're going to notice is I put puppy into the temperament testing area. It's a room they haven't really been in. There's new obstacles, things they haven't seen before. And I want to see how they respond. Is his tail high? Is he down? Is he nervous? Is he like sitting in the corner and he doesn't want to participate? He was super proud. His tail was right up there. He was very happy to check things out. No reservations. And I see this consistently throughout his evaluation as well. So for confidence, I gave him a high. There was really nothing that he didn't want to try. He was up for anything. The next thing I'm looking for is assertiveness. And this is for like how they approach humans. So the next thing that you see is I get into the testing area and I sit down and I wait to see how he approaches me. Is he like nervously army crawling over, or is he diving into my lap and he's trying to get to my face and give me kisses? It was the latter. He was very happy to crawl into my lap and he couldn't get close enough to my face. So his assertiveness, yeah, he's just a very affectionate little guy that is going to be happy to be approaching anybody with love. Next thing we look at for is motivation level, their workability. How badly do they want to please humans is what we're looking for. And so often this goes hand in hand with like training sessions and whatnot. How badly do they want to work for us? You know, there's the dogs that have maybe a lower motivation and they're often kind of looking at you and you're like, well, what's in it for me? Like, do you have a treat? Do you have a toy? And then there's the highly motivated dogs that just want to please you. And this would be Oompa Loompa. He's often sitting at the side of the pen. He is waiting for us to come over. He's looking for what's next. He's bringing the toy back and he's like, what do we got on the agenda today? Nerve strength and resiliency. So this is their ability to handle stressful situations. So being in a new area, new sights, new sounds, new things. This is all a little bit of stress invoking for a dog, and he handled it all. There was no signs of stress. There was no lip smacking. There was no yawning. He really didn't, sit and take breaks or get overwhelmed. He handled everything great. Any obstacle that kind of asked him to try or startle, he just handled. There was no signs of stress. And this is the kind of dog that is really easy to generally take out in the world because they handle stress very well. Touch tolerance. Again, he at first he handled the touch tolerance really well. And this is very different than do they enjoy it or not. Tolerance is do they put up with it? So a visit to the vet, a visit to the groomers, how tolerant are they going to be being manhandled by a stranger? And he handled it great. He has no issues with being handled. You notice as I kind of turned him on his back, he did have one moment where his front paws were kind of like, I don't know about this position. And then you can see that he does kind of like melt into it. And I lay him on my lap and he's like, yeah, no, this is good. I'm here for it. Energy level, I gave him a medium. So what we often see with a low energy dog is they do a lot of sitting and they really only kind of walk through all the testing area, and a high energy dog just kind of runs the whole time and doesn't stop. Whereas he did a little bit of running, he did a little bit of walking, and he was happy to explore, but just kind of like an even keel pace. He was kind of go with the flow. So I think he's going to be very happy to keep up with family walks or adventures if it's a longer walk or jogging, and in the same breath if it's movie night or it's rainy outside. I think he's going to be fine to just be like, all right, well, I guess we'll go tomorrow. Sound and sight sensitivity. So what you notice is I pop up an umbrella and I'm looking to see that if he startles, and does he recover? I don't care if he startles. Obviously, like if somebody's swinging something at my face, I'm like, whoa. And then I recover. That's what I'm looking for. How did he handle the recovery to that big moving sight? And he didn't even notice. He literally kept on playing, and then he went and checked over the umbrella, and then he climbed right on top of it. So no issues there. Sound sensitivity, I have like a popper and I shake it. And again, he was immediately like over there exploring it, and he's like, what's this sound? So it's not a matter of do they notice it, it's how do they handle it. Which is really helpful traits for families that have maybe lots of kids or more energetic kids that are like jumping on the couch. For example, we have one kid that just likes to spin in the kitchen. He's got his hands out beside him and he just loves to spin. And the puppies that are more tolerant to the sight sensitivity can handle big movements like that, whereas one that's a little bit more sensitive to it, they, you know, kind of notice a little bit more and back away. So prey drive, I give him a medium. So he seemed to like the toys, but then he wasn't super intense about it. He did like the balls for a moment, and then he kind of like gave up, and then he chased a few of these toys and a few of those toys, and then so it wasn't super intense. So I do think that he'll be distractible, and I think he'll enjoy playing tug or probably playing a little bit of fetch, but it's not so intense that it's going to be something that a family is going to need to have to figure out how to manage intensely if they have like say a cat that runs through the house, or other kids that are running and we're worried about the puppy really chasing the toddlers or something like that. I don't think it's going to be so intense that it's not going to be manageable. I think it'll be a fun trait. Human focus, I gave him a medium because I wavered on whether or not he was high or not, because from my day-to-day experience, he's always the one at the edge of the pen waiting for us and looking for us. So in that regard, he does really like his people. But then I noticed in the testing area, he would check in with me, but then he was happy to have some independence. Whereas a puppy that's very human focused, often they don't necessarily leave your side very much, and they tend to seek out the people a lot. Whereas he kind of had a nice balance. Tender-hearted, he wasn't quite sure. So what happened is I pretend to have a temper tantrum, and then I roll on the floor and I'm crying, and he was kind of behind me, and he was kind of like, his head tilt was like, what's going on? And then he came over to check on me. So yeah, he handled it very well. And then he kind of just like sat on my neck, that he was like, all right, well now what? What do we do? He was looking to console me, but he wasn't so overwhelmed by emotions. So dog friendliness, I gave him a neutral. He noticed the dog, but he really wasn't like diving right in. I know it is a fake dog, so once they kind of recognize that, the testing is kind of moot. But I would say day to day as well, even in the litter mates, he again is kind of like the observer on the side. He's not always the one that's like in the thick of wrestling all the time. He's so I think he'll do fine whether there is a dog in the home or not. If somebody's looking for a dog who really is a little bit more dog assertive, to kind of pull the play out of the dog in the home already, and that would be maybe not the best match. There's probably a different puppy that would kind of pull that play out of another puppy. I don't know that he would be the instigator of the play session necessarily. So if you have any questions about Oompa Loompa, let me know. I think overall he's going to be, he essentially would be the puppy that we kind of describe as bomb-proof. He doesn't really notice the sights, the sounds, and he's very happy to work, and he's very confident. So all fantastic traits.